Alright, what's going on, guys? Doing an oil change video. This is my 24 ZX6R. So this will work for a 24 or 25 ZX6R. Same bike, same torque specs, same procedure. So if you're decently mechanically inclined, if you can cook a burrito, you can change your oil. If you've never really worked on vehicles, I'd probably stay away from doing this, because if you mess up a torque spec, you can over tighten stuff and damage your bike. So yeah, if you're not too comfortable working on stuff, take your bike to a dealer or some shop and have them do it. Because if you don't follow the steps, you could damage your bike. But if you worked on stuff before, let's go ahead and jump into it. So again, this is a 24 ZX6R. This will work for a 24 or 25. Go over the tools you need. Got a metric Allen wrench set, torque wrench, 17mm socket, ratchet, extension. This is an oil filter wrench. This is a 65 by 14 oil filter wrench. These are the two Allen wrenches we're going to be using. This is a 5 and 4mm wrench. This is some aluminum foil. That's for draining your oil from the oil filter. Oil drain pan, funnel, brake parts cleaner, new oil filter, new drain bolt, crush washer. These are super cheap. Don't skip this. You know, I know a lot of guys reuse them. Don't skip it. This is like $1. This is cheap insurance for your bike. If you're riding and your oil drain plug backs out and dumps oil while you're riding, that oil is going to get all over your rear tire and you're most likely going to go down. So just cheap insurance. Replace this every time you do an oil change. And 4 quarts of oil. I run the Kawasaki 1040 full synthetic. Everybody's got their oil of choice. I just run the OEM stuff. Works just fine. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, you want your bike to be nice and warm. Preferably, I like to get bikes up to operating temperature, about 200 degrees. I've already taken this bike out on a small ride, came back, got it nice and warmed up. I prefer to get bikes up to operating temperature because inside your engine and oil, there's particles, and you want to get all those particles inside, suspended inside the oil, so when you drain it, it flushes out all the crap inside. So I've already done it, but I'll do it again. I'm sure you guys want to hear some revs. All right, bike's nice and warm. First step is taking off the lower left and right hand fairings. So that's these guys here. Each side you have 2 bolts. You have a larger one in the rear and 2 small in the front. So in the rear, take your number 5 Allen wrench. Take that guy out and set aside. Be careful. Inside, in these bolts, you have a clear washer. This protects your paint when the bolt's installed. You can lose those easily, so make sure you just pay attention, set those aside. So rear is out, and taking off the front 2. This is your number 4 Allen wrench. Same on these guys with your clear washer. All right, front 2 are out. And now there's a push style fastener that connects the lower left and right fairings. So what you want to do is take your number 4 Allen wrench, slowly push up and pop it out. This is what I just took out. I'll show you what I did in front of the camera. So if the button in the middle is flush, then that's locked. Slightly press it in. Once it recesses, you can go ahead and push this out of the fairing. Set that guy aside. And we'll take off the lower right-hand side fairing. So there's a push fastener here. So what I did is I pulled out, and there's a clip inside this front end piece. So pop this guy out, slowly push forward. And there's also a clip on the front end of this fairing as well. we go. Right side's off. And put that aside somewhere safe. So same procedure on the left side. 3 bolts. Work on the rear. Again, this is the number 5 Allen wrench. And your 2 up front. So same thing. Put the kickstand up. Slowly press out. Slide forward. There's your fairing. And put that off to the side. All right, so left and right hand fairings are off. Put your drain pan underneath. This is your oil fill cap. Go ahead and loosen that. So loosen your oil fill cap, and this will let the engine breathe. So when you drain the oil, it's not choking for air. It just lets it nicely flow out. 17mm socket. I'm gonna take a shop towel with me, just in case I make a mess. All right, here at the front lower of your bike, this is your drain plug. So I got my ratchet and 17mm socket. Put it on there. Break it loose. Once this bolt comes out, the oil is going to drain. Make sure your pan's ready. And there's your oil. So go ahead and inspect your drain plug. Make sure the threads aren't messed up. Here's the crush washer, that's the old one. There we go, throw it away. I'm going to set this plug aside along with the new crush washer. And now we're going to take the oil filter wrench extension and ratchet, as well as the aluminum foil. We're going to get the oil filter off the bike. So these 24s and 25s kind of have them in a weird spot. Instead of being at the front of the bike, which most sport bikes have it, the oil filter is right here, which is kind of in a bad spot, but it's not a big deal. We can work it out. So take your aluminum foil, and what we're going to do is underneath the oil filter there is a cup. It's like a plastic cup that's made to direct the oil, and we're going to put this aluminum foil underneath that cup down the side of the bike. So that way, once we take the filter out, this oil, instead of getting all over the engine, it's going to run down the aluminum foil into our drain pan. So I have the bike on the rear stand, but I'm going to take it off the rear stand and onto the side stand, so that way it'll let the oil drain better. So take your aluminum foil. I'm going to move this guy out of the way. And I'm just working this foil underneath that lip. All right, so the foil's in there. Now we're making a nice, happy path. So instead of the oil getting all over your motor, making a mess, it'll just drain straight down. take your ratchet, extension, oil filter wrench. Put it on that filter. There we go. It's in a bit of a tough spot, but I just got it. Before you take the filter out all the way, double check your foil. Make sure the lowest point of the foil is going down the side here, so that way once you get it undone, that oil drains straight down. Check it out. Beautiful. So keep unscrewing that filter. And carefully pull it out. Just be patient with it. These filters are really in a bad spot. They're kind of a pain, but just have patience with it and you'll get it out. And you can see with this aluminum foil, it comes straight off this cup into the aluminum foil and down. Really saves you a lot of time from cleaning. All right, so we just took out the oil filter. I'm gonna put the bike back on the rear stand. And still draining. So once it's done draining, we'll get to cleaning up that area and throwing the drain bolt back in. So we're going to focus on the mating area of where the oil filter mates to the engine. So I'm going to grab some brake parts cleaner and we're going to be cleaning this outer rim. So a clean rag. A little bit of brake parts cleaner. Don't have to go crazy with it. Give her a few sprays. Get your rag in there. Get her cleaned up. Go ahead and wipe down that plastic cup area. And pull out the aluminum foil. I'm also going to clean the drain bolt area. A bit of brake parts cleaner. And just wipe her down. You just want a nice clean mating surface for that crush washer. All right, new crush washer and drain bolt. Get these nice and clean. Again, I'm just cleaning that mating surface. Inspect your crush washer, make sure there's no gouges, scratches, or dings in there. Throw it on your drain bolt. All right, so drain bolt, crush washer, torque wrench, 17mm socket. We're going to set this to 21 foot-pounds. Again, take a clean rag, wipe up any residual oil in that area. Got your drain bolt, new crush washer. First few threads, just hand thread it. Make sure you're not going to cross thread. Hand tight. Got your torque wrench, 17mm socket, 21 foot-pounds. and torque her down. All right, drain bolt's back on and torqued. Now we're gonna grab the new oil filter and get her thrown on. All right, oil filter wrench, new oil filter. Make sure you take this plastic all the way off. Inspect the inside of your oil filter. Make sure there's nothing nothing in there that shouldn't be. You know, any like metal material, anything that could have crawled in there. You just never know. So give it a nice inspection. This O-ring's already prepped. It looks like some sort of like grease or Vaseline. But if there's nothing on these O-rings, go ahead and grab a little dab of oil on your finger and lubricate up that O-ring just a little bit. So oil filter socket, ratchet, and extension. We already cleaned this area, but just inspect it one more time. Make sure there's no dirt or anything crazy going on with that mating area. Grab your oil filter. Again, make sure there's nothing inside of there. And real important, first few threads, do it by hand. You don't want to cross thread this. There we go. So she's starting to bottom out. Put your wrench on. And I'm grabbing the inside of the wrench, so I'm really not applying a whole lot of force to it. There we go. I don't torque oil filters. I believe there is a torque for this, so I will put it in the video. What I like to do is get it hand spun on, so that way you're not going to cross thread. And then I just turn slowly on the inside of a wrench, so that gives you less leverage until it bottoms. All right, so drain bolt, new crush washer's on, new oil filter is on. Now we're gonna go back to the right hand side and fill her up with oil. All right, back on the right hand side of the bike, got my funnel, brake parts cleaner. Just gonna clean out the inside of that funnel, make sure there's nothing inside the funnel that's gonna get inside the engine. Wipe it down, inspect it. And there is a particle in there. So what I'm going to do is take one of these shop towels, kind of roll it up a little bit. I'm going to shove it in. I'm going to take a screwdriver. Run my towel through that funnel. Perfect. So got a nice clean funnel. Take off your oil fill and fill her up. All right, just put in about 3.5 quarts. Put the cap back on, and we're going to start the bike. Important thing is when the bike is running, that oil pressure light will be on. We want to make sure that light turns off. That means the bike is properly circulating that oil and then building oil pressure. So before we turn it on, drain plugs in, oil filters in. We filled up the bike with oil, put in about 3.5 quarts. Then once the oil circulates, we will top it off to make sure we're at the right level. Here's your oil pressure light. That's going to stay on until the bike builds pressure. So it shouldn't take longer than about 10 to 15 seconds. So we're going to be watching that to make sure it turns off. All right, perfect. Oil pressure light was on, turned off once it started circulating, building oil pressure. Now we're going to look at our oil filter. Make sure that's not leaking. We're going to inspect the drain bolt. Make sure that's not leaking. And this small bit at the bottom is just residual. And not leaking, looking good. So next we're going to throw back on the left and right hand side lower fairings and top off the oil. So I still got it on the rear center stand. It will come off the stand. And we're looking right here at this sight glass. Stand the bike fully up. And we are right at the top of that line. So oil is perfect. Set her back down. I'll throw her back on the center stand just so I have a bit more room on this left side fairing. All right, left hand fairing. Have the clip at the front. Throw the kickstand up. Clip at the front. And push button. We got 3 bolts, larger in the rear, 2 smallers are in the front. And we're just going to get these snug, bottomed out, and a little bit more. And here's the 2 smaller fronts. Just snug, you don't got to go crazy on these. All right, left fairing is on. I'm going to throw this guy back. This is your idle adjustment. So larger in the rear, 2 small in the front. Move to the right side fairing. All right, now we got a right hand side fairing. You have a clip in the front, come in at an angle. Get that clipped in. Can be a bit of a pain. So just be patient with it. This guy's a bit tricky. There we go. I had to come to the left side just to get the right angle on this tab. Once it clicks in place, then she's on there. Take your push pin, make sure the center pin is out. Push in, and then pin goes flush. Now we have our 3 bolts left side, larger in the rear. And 2 smaller in the front. Again, just snug. Don't have to go crazy on these guys. right, there you go. Oil change complete. So, hey guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And I'll catch you on the next one.